Hey, I'm creating a video because and I'll be like, YouTube and videos. I recently learned that basically I had to basically can't record YouTube videos and on a different tab and make my YouTube videos. But it would have been cool if I could record my videos while playing music on like a different monitor or stuff. But I'm not going to test the recorder on whatever, and I hope my microphone's working. But I got my SD card and I moved most of my videos, but basically all of them, to basically the SD card storage, and it has like 326 megabytes. I didn't know that a SanDisk card that can read stuff had that many megabytes because my Chromebook just has 32 gigabytes, and I'll be like, so it's pretty good that it has so much memory and stuff. But basically, I'll be like, that's a lot. But they had the one for 126, and then they had the regular one for 32 gigabytes and stuff like that. But it is pretty good. And I'm going to put on some music here for some lo-fi. We're going to put on some lo-fi chill, because lo-fi chill is good, because it's low and then fi. Well, not frequency, but it's kind of like frequency, but it's just rhythm beats. So that's why it's called fi. And stuff like that. So I'm making a new video, and I hope that basically I can get views and make what I need to for what I need. And I hope you enjoy my videos, because and I thank you for watching my stuff and stuff like that. So thank you for watching. And if this charger would work, because the charger should just work, and I don't want to mess with the wire like some person just messing with the wire and trying to figure it out. But and I hope I'm not talking too fast. But so it's been a minute and 7 seconds. So basically, a few days when I was waiting for my SD card, when I said I was going to get it tomorrow, was just basically my mom said she'll get it when she thinks about it, but to see if it works and see if everything was going well and doing fine. But I had one moment when I was putting on my storage that basically it was my storage, and I didn't know everything on my phone for storage, because your system has storage too on your phone. And basically, it said basically a video where it said eject to basically SD card. And then basically it was just all gone. And then I checked my SD card storage, and it was like, wasn't there. And I was so pissed that basically I couldn't. But then my phone also had other storage on it, which was interesting to think about, because it was still full, because it was telling them basically the storage memory was blah blah blah. It was interesting to talk about. But so the thing is, was I was kind of smoking a cigarette where basically I was saying that basically a cigarette, the cigarette where basically it was a hard day, and basically I just basically don't like that basically my thoughts are having to deal hard with life, and basically have to deal hard with life, and dealing hard with life, and also dealing hard with life, and also, what was dealing hard with life? Just that I was dealing hard with life, and, and also that basically I couldn't get my SD card and have all my thoughts out. But basically it's just in general that basically I don't care about whatever people are thinking about, like schizophrenic noises and negative energy. But if I had more power, I could definitely hear thoughts that basically were positive or negative. That was basically a neutral stance, kinda, but it depends on what they basically threw basically on what I had, which was fine. But basically I just didn't really care about stuff because nothing mattered and stuff like that. Now I might be talking quick because if you don't like that, I hope you do like it, or just accept it, because basically that's all what you can do. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about my personality, but I also want to talk about the subjects of thoughts, what I was thinking about before, but I can't remember it all. But basically I got to the points where I started thinking a lot of thoughts and stuff like that, so it would have been cool if I had it yesterday. So my personality, I kind of got off topic, but my personality is basically the personality of what I was saying is, 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 basically, I have a lot of thoughts and stuff like that. I kind of got sidetracked and lost the train of focus there. But I am gonna sit crisscross and show what I was doing. But what I was talking about. I was trying to think about it, but I lost train of thought what I was saying. Which was interesting. So basically, my personality and stuff is kind of like the happy energetic kind of guy. Energetic kind of guy. Who basically socializes and stuff, but also focuses on his goals and does what he does with thoughts and stuff. But my thoughts was basically, what if basically you could have, like, what I was thinking about basically was my thoughts and stuff like that. But I'm going to talk a little bit slower because I'm talking a little fast. Alright. So, basically, what I was saying was, it is good being energetic and stuff like that. And my personality is more of a guy who thinks deep, I guess what I was trying to say. And not thinks deep, but he's more of like socialize, make friends, and make life meaningful, and to think of the life that is more meaningful into the moment, where life can mean something to someone. And what it means is to be important to someone, is that you can care about someone and make meaningful moments that matter, and stuff like that. But basically, I had just basically moved a lot in high school. Well, I didn't move a lot in high school, but basically I lived in middle school, and then I went to a different school than basically the elementary that usually people go to middle school. And then basically in middle school I made friends too, and then stuff like that. In high school I moved, and then basically I had to accept it, so I did accept it and make friends like that. And it was always good and fun and stuff like that. But then I got to the point where basically I said I should have made something that mattered. The stuff that we did experience did matter in the moment. But basically to still have that connection would have been important, because some people might think of you differently, or basically it just basically was basically a moment that they enjoyed and it was just not important, and basically they just did their own thing. But you still will have some friends that still care about you and still enjoy your time. But basically, to think that basically of thoughts and stuff, I was thinking about, like, life doesn't matter to the extent that nothing matters, but on the flip side, what if basically we could say that everything could matter, or not matter, but basically, what if basically we could understand that what we have to do is to understand that our minds can only understand to an extent that we have the power of the internet in history, and we don't have to look at ancient art and stuff like that, but we can find it anywhere to find what knowledge to think of perspective. And perspective is what we can do to basically enlighten our minds of basically how to think deep about the world, so we may know more and understand more ways of life and study what we need to make more of what the future needs. Also, I wonder if basically Christ was just a man who was able to do miracles and stuff. It was some thoughts about spirituality and stuff like that. But it was more of like spirituality in the sense that basically God was able to make miracles, and basically it was my thoughts about basically the perspective of that the God is the sun, Ra, in ancient Egypt, who basically studied basically the scale of the heart, where basically they would scale the heart, and basically they kept them mummified so that basically one day they could scale the heart, and that basically the heart, that basically is the scale, and after your heart gets scaled based on your heart, you get scaled, and then basically that's to judge where you go and with your soul and stuff. But basically that was basically why God says your heart is in heaven. But basically then basically people celebrate Easter because basically it's the basically if God was something else, and that basically it's supposed to be a good sign. And basically they had stone statues in Phrygia where basically the lands of the island was all one and stuff like that. And Gia basically was a podcast of videos, where podcast of videos for frequency, and basically saying that ancient Egypt used frequencies and other stuff, but they definitely use other stuff too, and they definitely built the pyramid because of like a grid, because they wanted to make stuff and what they wanted to do. But I would say basically, Jesus was a guy who can make miracles, and basically he did miracles and blessings, and then he got crucified, and he was resurrected, and basically he came to life, and basically he was just done in the history, but basically after he got crucified and stuff. But before then he broke bread, and then basically he spread fish to the people, and then he met his disciples. But after that, then basically there was Christ and stuff, and that basically God would live forever, and that basically that, and then basically there was all sorts of churches and artworks about basically what God did, and basically art stuff of angels and heaven and whatever they could do. Later on, it gave to me thoughts about basically what if the mind was basically able to create whatever it was to create, I don't know why I'm talking so fast. I want to talk regularly. But basically, it was that. Basically, what was able to create the mind, in the mind, where, let me talk slower. So, it was to create whatever the mind could create in the mind. So, the mind is to be able to create in the mind of what it means to create in the mind. So, the mind was able to create what's in the mind. But let's say like you could see yourself from another perspective. It would be DMT from the pineal gland, the visual cortex from the occipital lobe, and then basically just the visual cortex, and then basically just seeing in your mind, and then basically just thoughts from wherever your thoughts come from, and basically just the visual cortex and DMT, and then basically just like dreams of whatever you had to do. But what if to say you can basically make DMT where you can control reality and do what you want? Basically, that means that basically we can control reality to do whatever we want. And to control reality to do whatever we want, then that means we can control reality and do whatever we want. So, if we could control reality and do whatever we want, we could control reality and basically do whatever we want. But, what I'm trying to say is if that was through our minds, then basically we could understand that more. But what was I trying to say? You can control reality and do what you... Oh my god, what was I trying to say? Shush. Alright. So, if you can control reality and do what you want, that means that it was through the mind of being able to create it. And if that means something, that would be more of spirituality. Where spirituality is more of basically being able to do whatever you want. It's more the magic of the ness of basically the spiritual, what is beyond the limits of the person itself. Can basically our minds do whatever we can do beyond what we can do already between just regular stuff like playing video games, writing thoughts, or YouTube videos, or basically studying or school, which is fine. And stuff like that. It's supposed to be basically that the universe is a strand and there's many things that we can do and stuff like that. Like let's say having the consciousness of death in your dream, or your self-reflection of yourself to be able to talk to yourself, or your inward self to talk to yourself, and stuff like that. And to talk to yourself and your inward self. But your inward self and stuff. But, basically it's that spirituality and stuff. So, basically, if people have false memories and stuff like that, it just had a thought, just a voice, but if people had false memories and just had things, why would someone negative, like someone who cared about you, or just basically people in general who just have negative aspects, or people who just don't care in general, why would basically they make a genuine connection with you and stuff like that? Is basically, they basically want to make something of what you say. But let's say you can manifest anything in your life, because I kind of got off subject of what I was talking about. But like, let's say you manifest whatever you like. Basically, you can make a scent of the order of what construct of what you would want to make for yourself. Or basically you focus your goals and make anything you want for your life for your own productivity and stuff like that. And if you could do that, then basically you have to prove it, because not everyone would do that for you, because people just negatively don't like you and stuff like that. But the topic that I was saying is basically what, I mean, I've kind of lost track of it again and I had to talk something about something else. Lo-fi chill isn't good. Let's do lo-fi, or like, whatever, and I'll be like, hold on one sec. Let's put lo-fi spooky beats Halloween shit to chill to. So, if it was my mom that thinks, okay, what I was saying. So basically, spirituality is to say that beyond what we can do. And my main of subject was, I was trying to go somewhere, but I kind of forgot it. The main subject is like, what is true to the person is what can be true for the person. So let's say that basically one perspective of the mind can matter to a different person where someone else could have a different perspective. The idea is that it's all in your mind. The only thing that is in your mind is in your mind. You can't poke in your mind and basically control your basically thoughts and work as like if it was a computer machine. But what you, and basically people should do more studies about that. But what's in your mind is basically you perceived it and you understood it in your mind to create what you created in your mind. So if you were able to control your mind to the extent where you can create anything in your mind, what basically is true is basically what is true to your mind. But someone could have a different perspective that's all completely into someone else's mind. But if you made something socially matter between each other, then basically you guys could have different thoughts that basically relate to that memory can be something, where basically memory can basically be up to the interpretations of how you think of them now. And basically memories can change and create between those things that are different. For me personally, I feel like, for me personally, I don't want the chair to move. For me personally, let me move the towel down. For me personally, I personally think that if I have some bad subjects or bad scenarios that I was in because just dumbness with my mom, or just me doing whatever I want, honestly, people should let them go. Things like, I don't hope I'm in a mental hospital or in prison or just a bad scenario, just in bad scenarios, because basically you just want to live a good life and you don't want to deal with those problems because people just have problems in general where they blah blah blah, where they just do that in general. But like, what if basically you could say this is one truth for someone else and saying, well, that's the idea of spirituality and that basically the mind can do anything and that stuff like that. And it's like to the extent where you could say consciousness is consciousness, and consciousness can lead to consciousness to other things, and the whole universe can be consciousness and everything like that, and then you can create consciousness for the whole universe, and something else could be consciousness, or that basically consciousness could be a connecting force of other consciousnesses and stuff like that. But what I was saying is, what if basically you can basically show someone what you wanted to make for yourself of consciousness? And what you wanted to make is basically a scenario of friends. But basically, they are their own individual too. And basically, if you were made to basically make videos of basically consciousness and stuff like that, well, first off, basically, I understood this as a young personality, but I don't have that many. I don't remember much of my childhood youngness, but I don't understand how people had problems in their lives and stuff like that, and blah blah blah. But if you were to basically use consciousness to understand that consciousness was basically in that basically you were able to consciously make someone basically find the person that you would be able to find, well, basically, how do you know them to be you? To be what you understood of them. It is their own identity and their own perspective. See, someone may look fashionably like what you identified them as, but their own internal self can be different from themselves. That's why expression is always important. The way that basically someone is basically in their mind is through their own perspectives of their own structure of how they make themselves or the external world. And they could be completely different depending on the person. Or basically the same way that you made them. But basically the idea that consciousness can be connected to consciousness, you can like manifest the idea of people you want to make because the world is connected and can be anything that the world can be, and you can do that. Like, you can have a divine vision of the future and basically go to that place in the future and basically visit towns that you've never been to and then understand why you're supposed to go there because you had a vision from the future and stuff like that. However, basically you can understand someone from this, and it's good to know that basically what you could understand of someone else is supposed to be them and not their perspective, but you're still seeing it from your own mind. But your senses is your senses, and that's how you do your stuff. But basically, to make something matter between them is basically to express one's own thought and do what they need to. And how you can do it is with basically your own mind senses. So the weird thing is you could either basically be a freak and basically say it's your subconscious thought, and basically you have a subconscious thought and basically it's hidden in your subconscious that basically can feel in your subconscious of their own conscious flying. Or you can basically understand their subconscious and basically understand it as your own conscious and see from their consciousness. But to see a subconscious thought is basically something in the subconscious or conscious of basically something that you don't understand yet but understand. But basically to see it more into external of like, what if you saw my whole room as like LED lights, or basically my lights are off, then basically the lighting would be different and your mind would see a different thing. That's a way more of spirituality of basically understanding someone. Like, basically, if I put an image, I'll be like, if I put an image, and basically I can't put an image because I'm bad at editing, but if I put an image right now, that will basically be some form of basically magicalness, of basically something with weird lighting, that basically could make something of basically what the thought is, and then basically that. But if I show nothing, then basically it would be like, well, what am I supposed to expect? My mind is open. I could be open to anything. And basically I can draw anything I wanted to create. And at the point, I'm kind of drawing whatever I could create instead of basically understanding what I wanted to do. Which was weird because it was just like, put an image and I'll be like, oh wow, thank you viewers for being awesome and understanding my eyes are just like basically a camera on a computer screen just seeing and understanding functions while my brain is my brain and it's all working together. And I'll be like, well, God bless my eyes to basically do what I need to do and my brain working properly. And stuff like that. So I've been talking fast, and I hope you could understand it, but I am going to basically post this video, and that was my thoughts yesterday, but I also had my own personality of talking about myself, and talking about my own stuff, and my own problems, like, don't even care, but I mentioned once where I would be like, become Christ consciousness, and don't die, because dying is bullshit. I mean, dying is bullshit. I mean, like, who even cares about, I mean, like, having to die is, like, a problem. I'll be like, what if basically you could basically make a structure where you guys made something and made something important to each other? But like, to say that basically, to understand that basically you like had to basically had to die or something, maybe that's just a structure in your mind and you can make yourself conscious and stuff like that and just make yourself immortal and stuff like that and basically be really wise. Like my great grandma, I hope she's still alive. She's very, I'll be like, I'm not gonna mention my great grandma, but holy shit, bro, she's probably old, and I have a grandma too, and then I have my father. But yeah, but basically she's a great woman. She's so kind, and she's a lot about my perspective. But also I've been to the point where nothing matters and stuff like that. I was talking about nothing matters about my personality and stuff. And it was kind of weird to say what matters is what is important, because basically I have been talking to myself a lot. But at some point I screamed at myself and got uncontrollable, and I'll be like, oh no, whatever. And I'll be like, well that's fine. I'll be like, why is there a sticker on here? And I'll be like, so, I'll be like, so, what to say is, I'll be like, that sticker's not a good sign. But what to say is just, I had a lot of thoughts, but there's also so much the human body can do that basically it's that. And this is just my thoughts in general, and I think deep, but honestly I got to the point of basically I experienced one craziness event that basically I talked to myself so much that it just made no sense. But to think the idea that you would do something harmful to yourself or you're in a bad scenario, that's something else. But let's say you can basically go on infinite timelines through the mind. Then basically you can basically have one cause and effect from somewhere else and cause and effect for yourself in where you are somewhere else, and then go both in your normal day. That would be cool, right? That would be cool. And stuff like that. I kind of woke teeth on my hair, but it's fine. And I'll be like, but basically, what I was gonna say is just my thoughts in general, and I had a lot of them because that's all I can do, or play video games, or whatever, and that point is the thing. But I got to my point, and I talked a lot about how life is meaningless before, and I got really zoned into that, and I'll be like, and also the socialness of my friends and stuff like that, but basically mainly that stuff, and like the unknown of fear, and the unknown of control, and the unknown of the unknown, and stuff like that. But I didn't get that far in that stuff, but basically just like life is meaningless, people suffer, and stuff like that. But this one is more of just whatever. And instead of thinking of it in my head, because honestly whatever that craziness, blah, it happened so much that my brain was just tired of basically trying to process what was happening. And basically it was whatever, but it was like maybe I could do it longer. But basically at some point it was just like, what if someone did everything in the universe and just could understand something? Or basically they were just people on drugs, and basically what they could understand was that basically them being pleasurable on drugs, kind of, but I was being more happy about it. Pleasurable on drugs and they're being happy, and that basically they were like, and I'll be like, well, basically this is to make you create, basically have dopamine to be happy, to understand things, because it helps you be creative, and stuff like that. But I was kind of at the point tired, but basically I was happy, and I was like, creative. And basically it's the idea that basically how long can your mind understand the structure of pattern recognition, or basically can you understand more patterns, or basically, well, not that, it was basically just me just trying to think of something because I was trying to understand what I was doing, and stuff like that, but basically whatever I just saw. And basically, I'll be like, how far can someone basically create, how's it called? What's it called? Not create. How far can someone not create? I mean, sorry, I lost my train. How far can someone basically go far in the extent of their brain being their brain, which was basically what that, and basically do whatever they want. But basically in creativity and stuff like that, it was like you are not in creativity. It was like you are creative. It was just kind of like like my thoughts and stuff. It was that basically I got tired of my thoughts. Yeah, I'm talking too fast for this. But yeah, but it was kind of me thinking about drugs and stuff, and that basically that an interesting. But it takes just be careful and stuff, and also it was to the extent that basically, I mean, there's just many things in the world, but but basically it's like what could I say? Creative. It's like the mind can be stuck in one set. That's like the mind can be stuck in one set and basically be stuck in a set of basically structure and order. But basically, if you're more flexible to the world and create something, then basically you can basically be more flexible and open to the world, where you can make things open-mindedness, or basically rigidness of whatever you wanted to create, or basically understand your waves of thought that would basically be made and stuff like that, and basically do what you need and stuff like that, which is interesting. But that's why I'm trying to take psychology, because I'm trying to understand the mind more, even though I think I should just take other stuff in general like code to get more pattern recognition and understand stuff. So the main subject of the day is how far can the mind really go, and basically spirituality is that stuff. And also I was trying to talk more about my personality. I didn't talk about it that much, and this is kind of a stretch out video because basically it was going fast and I was going fast. But just how far can the mind go, and also how spirituality, and how far it can basically a possibility go of everything else, and also my own personality. And I would definitely want to talk about my own personality, but I was talking about a lot of things. And also, like, does your brain get tired at some point, and what would you do? I mean, like, not what you would do if you could create anything, but also if you basically could basically wait, what was it? If you could basically make a perspective that was worth your not perspective. Wait, what was it? I'll be like, if basically what your life meant to you was basically meant for other people that meant the same thing for you, then basically what would what for you meant for you, and stuff like that, and stuff, you know, and stuff that makes stuff for you that makes life easy and stuff. Yeah, I'll be like, yeah, so I should probably maybe just go in a video editor, then basically insert the image and basically the timing of the video. But I mean, it's whatever, and stuff, and you can watch this again, but I'm gonna watch it later just in case. But like, there's also like, what is true for someone else, and stuff like that. And also, I got my cards for my blah blah blah. I'm missing Clancy the Fool, but I got the Lover and the Chariot and stuff like that. That's him as a planet and his mom and stuff like that. So yeah, and I'll be like, that's cool. And I was supposed to watch the Midnight Gospel, but yeah, he's a guy who goes into simulation and talks to AI and stuff like that, and then basically he like leaves the Matrix on basically with his and then he interviews them and then leaves the Matrix by blowing his horn and leaves with his third eye, and then Antichrist It's a cool stuff and stuff like that. But for sure, I didn't talk much. This could have been like a 5-minute video. But I definitely talked more about my personality and my own self, or basically what I was saying in the moment and also in the past. But maybe that's why my video is so long. But I will talk more and make a script for next time, and also just have my thoughts in general and have everything in general. And I'll try to relook in my past about basically what I've been thinking about my past. Fun fact about me, and I'll be like, I just had a thought that basically I was someone else and stuff like that, because I just hear voices sometimes and stuff, and I don't like people saying stupid. I personally have a stab wound for a guy who stabbed me, because basically, I don't know. But if it was like subconscious of me not killing myself would be dumb, because I have tried suicide before, because I thought at some points that life was meaningless, and basically I have basically from someone else, but basically I tried to overdose twice, but basically, or I didn't mean to do it the first time, but I have tried it the second time of basically just Benadryl and sleeping pills. But basically, I personally got medical help, and they took it out of my system, and then basically woke up a few days after, and then basically they took me home and stuff, which was fine. But I personally hope that doesn't correlate to anything else, because life can be random, and I just think that's just a random thing that happened actually. But if it was just negative or whatever, then basically, yeah. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of just like, if I was someone important, then basically, yeah. I was talking about my thoughts have been about it. It's kind of like, thank you for watching, and also please like and subscribe. But I'll have a script more, and also basically have more thoughts, and also reflect more on my past and talk about my personality more. And I'll be a video next time, because I'll have a script and stuff like that, because I have nothing else to do. But I'll think more consciously of my video, and then make a video that basically makes a video. And also I can maybe start putting goals in my day of just a video that I need, so that basically we can talk about subjects that's anything important, and then basically maybe we can even do educational stuff, or just anything that matters, just anything, and just stuff to do. Just sounds fun, because yeah, cool. And also I stopped saying I don't know again, because my thoughts just went and blah blah blah, and I realized that basically if I answer I don't know, I just get stuck and basically get in a negative mood because I have nothing to say but I don't know. So yeah, thanks, bye bye. Leave a like and maybe leave a like if you like, subscribe if you want to see more, and leave a comment just to help out if you have a question or want to talk about a statement. So yeah, thanks, bye.